Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Liv. I'm an independent author. This video is not about writing. I'm also very aware that I need to stop filming videos with wet hair, but it's just so easy to like get out of the shower, put my makeup on, and then just sit down and do this while it's on my mind instead of like finding something else to kill time while my hair dries. I know I will not use a hairdryer. It's a sensory thing for me, okay? But I wanted to talk today. But I was thinking for today's video, I wanted to do something kind of different. And I know I literally just put up a video yesterday. That's my regularly scheduled writing related video. But today, when you're seeing this, it's actually the 14th when I'm filming this, but you're seeing this on March 15th, assuming I get it edited and uploaded in time, which is the anniversary of when I brought my sugar baby home, my puppy, 17 years ago today. And she's been on this channel before, I don't think in any videos that are still like available. I know she was in my first video that I ever made, which again, I am not unearthing that until I get 1,000 subs at least. Like that can be your 1,000 sub present, is me digging that out of the depths of hell and revisiting it. But yeah, I don't think I have any videos featuring her on this channel, and I know that I never actually made a video talking about her when she passed away, which was December 2022. And so I thought, just like for our anniversary, I wanted to make a little video just talking about my baby and how much she meant to me and just the things I like to remember about her. Because she was my first baby. Like she was my girl. She was everything to me. And you know, it's been a few years, but I still miss her, and I just never really talked about her in detail on my channel, aside from like, I think she was in the background of some videos that again are not available anymore. But yeah, so let me just jump right in. So let me start with the backstory, okay? I was terrified of dogs for most of my childhood. Like, my parents had some friends that they would play cards with once a week, and they had a dog, and I was like okay around that dog, but like any other dog for the longest time, like genuine terror. I could not be around dogs. Like in 4th grade, I had a sleepover at my friend's house, and everybody was really excited about her dog, and it was like her birthday party, and we were camping outside in a tent, and the dog got in the tent, and I freaked out. Like I was like about to call my mom and ask her to go home, because I'm like, I cannot deal with this. The first dog that I remember like actually being able to be around was my best friend in 5th grade. She had a lab, and he was super chill, and when I was at her house, he didn't bother me. And then around that time, and it was so weird because I had stuffed dogs throughout the years that I loved, and like would pretend they were my real dogs. And I was like, I love golden retrievers. I just never get one near me. But it wasn't until this friend that I was like, maybe I want a dog. And I would check out these like puppy care books from the school library whenever it was library day. I remember it was Puppy Care by Mark Evans. I would take that out of the library so much. And anything related to raising a dog, and I would take notes. I would take very detailed notes, and I tried to write my own guide to caring for a dog multiple times based on my notes. And what I retained as a 10-year-old from those readings was not something, it was not enough to capably raise a dog, especially not on my own. But I was dedicated. And then I think it was like 6th grade that I finally told my parents I want a dog. And they were like, no, not on God's green earth are you getting a dog. Are you insane? And I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, I love dogs now, and I can be around them, I guess. And I guess like I stopped freaking out as much around dogs, but like it wasn't like night and day. It was just like I would go from like screaming and running for the hills to just like being mildly uncomfortable in the presence of dogs. And like me and that girl stopped being friends in 6th grade, so like I was done seeing her dog. That's lore on its own. But I would take out from the library like dog breed guides, and I would look at the different dog breeds. And I originally decided I wanted an American Eskimo dog, toy size, because they were so fluffy. And my parents were like, we live in California, and like forgetting the fact that that's going to be a very expensive purchase, like a purebred dog. Like, we live in California. That is a dog with a fur suited for a much colder climate. And so I was like, okay. And I kept looking, and I kept being drawn to Papillons. I liked like the coloring of the face. Like, it reminded me of these like pudding cups my grandma used to buy me when I was a kid, where it's like a swirl like white and like a hint of another color. Like, let me see if I can put a picture of what I'm talking about. And so like I was just drawn to the Papillons, and so I settled on that was what I wanted. When I wrote fan fiction about my life, my character always had a black and white Papillon. She was a girl, and her name was Sugar. And just like, I wrote countless fan fictions about my life. Like 6th grade, I was still kind of set on golden retrievers until American Eskimo dogs. And then 7th grade was when I really started to like look at Papillons. And 8th grade was like when the fan fiction started rolling out with like me and Sugar, my perfect little black and white female Papillon, my baby. And I think it was like around like early 8th grade, my mom started looking. My dad really wanted me to get a shelter dog. I was not very educated on the adopt, don't shop movement at the time. I just saw pictures of cute dogs and manifested Sugar because I was like, I want her so much. My mom started looking at dogs. She found a local Papillon breeder and got in touch with her, and we were supposed to meet the puppies when they were like a lot younger, just like, you know, keep going back and visiting them until they were old enough to take home. But she lost our contact information, and in March of 2009, she got in touch with my mom and said, we have one dog left, and it is black and white Papillon, and it is a girl. And my mom told me, we are just going to look at the dog. We are going to see how you interact with the dog. We are not getting the dog. We are just testing the waters to see if you are able to be around the dog. We are not getting a dog. And I was like, okay, cool. And it was March 15th, 2009. And I remember I took a shower that morning, and I used so many different products that my mom had in her bathroom, because I was like, I am getting ready to meet possibly the love of my life. I need to make a good first impression. Like, I need to look as perfect as possible for this dog. I cannot for the life of me remember what I decided to wear. And the only, like, the first pictures I have of us are from the next day. It was like Spirit Week at school, so I was wearing one of my shirts from elementary school, and then I had another one that I gave to my friends so we could be twins for Twin Day. So like, that's the first picture of us, but I have no memory of what I wore on the day I picked her up. I think it was like this blue shirt that I really liked from Kohl's, but I don't remember. But we went down to the lady's house, and she brought out this little 2-pound ball of fluff. She put it in my lap, and Sugar just, this dog just immediately just curled up in my lap and started giving me kisses on my hand. And when I tell you, like, one of my biggest sensory issues with dogs growing up was getting licked. Like, I hated the feeling of being licked by a dog. But when this dog was licking my hand, I was just like, yes, this is good. This is not bothering me at all. Like, it was just like randomly didn't bother me. And I was just petting her, and I looked up at my mom, and I'm like, she likes me. We like each other. And my mom looks at the lady, and she's like, so you take a check? And so she told me that I could have the dog, and I looked her in the eyes, because I remember reading a book when I was in elementary school, like, where it was like from the point of view of a puppy or a kitten or some kind of baby animal, and they said, like, the way you know your name is when your owner looks you in the eyes and tells you it. So I was like trying to look her in the eyes, and I'm like, Sugar, your name is Sugar. And she was just so little and fluffy, and she was just the cutest thing, and it was genuinely like, it was fate. Like, I never believed in love at first sight. Like, I remember the summer before, actually, I had a very detailed conversation with somebody in the backstage area of theater camp about love at first sight. And I was like, I don't believe in love at first sight. Never, never, never. But with Sugar, it was like, instantly, I was like, that is my baby. That is my one true love. That is my girl. We are going to grow old together. I need this dog. And I love this dog. And I'm not going to lie and say that it was like, absolute perfect smooth sailing from that day. Like we did like have to go we went like raided Petco, got a bunch of dog stuff, went back and got Sugar later, brought her home. And I remember my friend came over with me because we were supposed to hang out that day, and she was like, well, I want to meet your dog. And I remember she like wanted to go like play in my backyard and wanted to like do all these things in other rooms, but I was like, no, Sugar's in here. I want to be where Sugar is. Like I want to pet her. I want to like hold her. She's crying when I leave the room. Like I want to be with her. And so, yeah, but I'm not gonna like lie and say that it was totally smooth sailing, because I did still get nervous around her. When she was like, when her teeth were growing in and she was like learning how to bite, I was not a fan. I didn't like, she was very impulsive, so I didn't like her going in my room, because my room was never clean, so I never knew what was going to be on the floor for her to just grab and take and chew up. And like, I am not a very neat person. Like this corner stays neat solely for the purpose of me filming these videos. But I'm not a neat person, so I had to get used to like, I cannot leave my backpack on the floor because Sugar will go into it and get my gum out, and that will kill her. And it was like, I cannot leave my favorite stuffed animals on the floor of my room because Sugar will chew them up. And fortunately, she never got very far with any of those. But she was pretty good with chewing, actually. Like she didn't really even chew up her own toys. Like she chewed on them, like they were all crusty from her spit, but like she didn't like rip them up. She was very like gentle with her toys. Like the toys that she has had since she was a baby, we still have in storage. Some of them I put like in her little, I have a little memorial area for her at my mom's house, and I put like her very first toy, which was a bunny the breeder gave us. She had a lamb chop that she loved. She had a squirrel that like we got it for her for Christmas, for her first Christmas, because she loved to bark at squirrels, so we got her a little stuffed squirrel. And I still remember like immediately, like when she saw the squirrel, like she went berserk. Like it was the cutest thing. It was one of my favorite memories of her. And she had like a little baby bear that she liked to like put her head on and sleep with. And so I put that in the bed with her as well, with her little urn. I call it the canister because it's a canister, it's not an urn. But that's what the vet gave us. So one day I'll maybe splurge and swap her out for something a little nicer. And then I have her collar around it and like her baby blanket in the bed with all of that. And it's by the window where she loved to watch. She loved to just people watch. I'm getting ahead of myself, oh my gosh. But yeah, it took a while for me to like fully warm up to her, be comfortable with her. Just because like I was still nervous about getting bitten. I was still nervous about like her like getting into my stuff. So we had beef about that. That and like we didn't bond as much because my parents are divorced. So like on Sunday, this was a Sunday that we got her. Sunday nights was my dad's night. I was at his house on Sunday nights, and I remember begging. I was like, please, can I just stay here with Sugar tonight? Like we just got her. And he's like, no, but we'll come back in the morning and visit her and like take her out before you go to school. And that was like a thing we do before my dad would drop me off at school on Mondays. We would stop at my mom's house, let Sugar out, because my mom went to work like a couple hours earlier. But I remember like I had to go to his house, so I couldn't stay with Sugar that night. And like my mom was just naturally around her a lot more. She was also like the main person taking care of her, because like despite my best intentions as a 13-year-old, I didn't know what I was getting into with that. Like I was just like, oh, like it's this dog's just gonna live in our house and everything's gonna be fine. Like, and I will tell her to sit 3 times and she'll sit. And like I had no idea what I was getting into. So like my mom was the main person taking care of Sugar. And that meant that I couldn't really enforce any rules that I wanted to enforce on her. Like I didn't want her to eat in the same room as us until she learned how to not beg at the table. But my mom was like, no, we're just gonna give her food from the table. And then spent Sugar's entire lifetime complaining that she couldn't eat a meal in peace without Sugar begging for it. And I'm like, I wonder why that is. But yeah, so she was very much bonded to my mom more so than me. And that's, you know, that's fine, whatever. She was still my dog. She still loved me. She just, you know, like if she had to choose between the two of us to save one of us in a burning building, like it wasn't gonna be me. I used to joke that when the Tortured Poets Department came out and everybody was making TikToks with I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, where she says, I'm so obsessed with him but he avoids me, and they're doing that with their pets, like chasing their pets around the house. Like me and Sugar would have ate that up. She hated me. No, she didn't hate me, but like she hated me like chasing her. Like if I tried to pick her up and she did not want to be picked up, she was not going to be picked up. Like she was very adamant about, you can touch me when you're allowed to touch me, when I say you can touch me. We're very similar in that way. It's almost like maybe she got autism too. But yeah, like I spent so much of her life chasing her around the house trying to pick her up so I could give her kisses. And I remember like when I started high school and I would walk home from school and be at home by myself with Sugar for a little bit before my mom got home, we had this tradition where like I would pick her up from my mom's room, and I would make her give me some kisses on my face, and then I'd take her outside. And I didn't wear makeup back then, so it's not like she was like licking makeup off my face. But I remember that was like our little tradition, is I would give her a kiss and I'd wait for her to give me one, and then I'd take her outside. And she had like, we had an atrium, so she had access to be outside during the day. This wasn't like the first time she had gone outside in 8 hours. Whether or not she chose to use the atrium to her advantage was not, like, I have no idea, because we didn't have a nanny cam on her. That wasn't like a thing back then. My grandmother was still alive when I got Sugar. And I remember we were going for a walk together, just me and my grandmother, and she had met Sugar, because obviously I like talked about it. My mom brought her to my grandma's house so that my grandma could meet her when she picked me up. I used to hang out with my grandma every weekend. And so me and my grandma were going for a walk, and she was like, tell me you did not spend some ridiculous amount of money on that dog, like $700. Sugar was like $1,200. So I'm like, I can honestly say I did not spend $700 on that dog. Or my mom did not spend $700 on that dog. And she's like, okay, good. And my grandmother did end up passing away later that year, in May, at the end of May. And maybe I'll do a video talking about her sometime. But I remember when, it was like a whole situation with how she ended up passing away. It was not like a natural causes kind of thing. It was like a whole traumatic thing. But I remember the night that my dad called my mom and told her to tell me that like they were gonna take my grandma off life support the next day. I remember just like breaking down. Like that was when I had my breakdown about her passing away. Like not like when it actually happened the next day. It was like literally like when I found out it was going to happen. And I remember Sugar just started giving me kisses on my face, just licking the tears off my face. And it was just such a sweet memory of her like being there for me, even though like we didn't know each other very well yet. And she did the same thing my freshman year of high school when I got broken up with for the first time. She gave me kisses when I was crying and like took care of me, and she was my baby. I love her. Like I just love our dynamic, because like, yeah, she hated me a lot of the time, but she loved me. Like she didn't want me to touch her most of the time, but she loved me. And I loved her very much. I still love her. Like I tell her I love her every night. I have her blanket. Well, I'll get to that later. So I wrote down a list of some of my favorite Sugar stories that I thought I would tell in this video. Because I have so many memories of her, but like these are the ones that I always go back to, like when people ask for stories about my dog. So I'm gonna tell those, and I'm gonna tell all these stories, and then I'm gonna get into like the story of like how it ended. So my favorite Sugar story of all time is when me and my mom were living in Washington, and we had a backyard. Not as big as the one we had in California, but we had a backyard, so Sugar could go hang out there. And one day she comes in with an entire slice of white bread in her mouth. And me and my mom were like, we have no idea where she got this, where it came from, aside from being in our backyard. Like we have no idea what could possibly be in it, perhaps, or whatever. So we are like chasing her around the house, trying to get this bread from her. And my mom finally gets it, throws it away, goes to wash her hands, and Sugar goes and runs out into the backyard. And while my mom is washing her hands, I kid you not, Sugar comes back in with a second slice of bread. And I'm just like, Mom! We closed the door after that. We got the second slice from her, but I was just like, it's always, the second slice of bread always sends me. I was just like, what in the world is happening? One of my other favorite memories of her is we were living in the same house, and I was making myself a bowl of chocolate Lucky Charms. And I had this like nice deep bowl from World Market. It was like a giraffe bowl, because giraffes used to be my favorite animal before whales. And I remember I poured myself the chocolate Lucky Charms, and then one tiny piece of cereal fell on the floor, and it was chocolate. So I'm like, oh hell no, like, cause Sugar, like if it's on the floor, it is hers. Like she has no boundaries, or she had no boundaries whatsoever. Like if it was on the floor, it was fair game. So I go to pick it up, and as I'm going to pick it up, the box falls over and hits the bowl in such a way that it knocks it off the counter, where it shatters and the chocolate Lucky Charms go everywhere. And I'm just defeatedly holding up that one piece of cereal that I was able to get away from Sugar, as my mom's like trying frantically to grab her away from the rest of it. Fortunately, the bowl didn't like break near her or anything. Like it didn't harm her. It harmed the bowl, but it did not harm the dog. Let's see. When I would come home from college, the first like year that I lived in Delaware after college, like when I would come home and I would sleep in my room at my mom's house, she would come into my room every morning and just like stand in the doorway and stare at me. And if I went to go pick her up and like put her in the bed with me, she'd be like, oh no, and run away. So it was like, she was like just making sure that I was still there. Cause my mom said she used to like go and look for me in my room after I would leave, and it made me so sad. Or she would like sit on my blanket after I left, which is so like full circle, because I'm not there yet, but it was just so cute that she would just like come in just to make sure I was still there, I hadn't left. But she didn't actually want me to pet her or pick her up or anything. Like occasionally I would get lucky and she would. And I have this picture of her from summer 2020 that I just remember. It was like the first night that I was home after coming home from school in summer 2020, after being quarantined in my sorority house. Either my mom put her on my bed or I was able to pick her up and put her on my bed. But I remember I just like fell back asleep and I looked up and she was just smiling at me. And it's my favorite picture of her. It was my wallpaper for the longest time. And now I just have like a widget that shows me different pictures of her throughout the day. But I love that picture of her because it was just like, that's my baby and she's happy to see me. When occasionally she would sleep with me, like sometimes she would sleep in my room with me. Most of the time she didn't want to sleep anywhere but with my mom. So like if we happen to be like in a hotel with like, we're not gonna pay for 2 beds because whatever, like then sometimes she would sleep with me, or like if I slept in my mom's room one night, if my mom wasn't there, if I slept in her bed, then Sugar would sleep with me occasionally. Like she would like, and I used to like, I would just like sit and wait for her to like get, my favorite sleeping position of hers was she would like butt herself up right to my back. Like we were back to back and she would just curl up there and just like push herself into my back, throughout the night. And it was my favorite feeling in the world, to have her against me like that. And I would like sleep in my mom's room way more than I probably should have, and I would sleep in my mom's room way more than I'm comfortable admitting as an adult, just to have those Sugar snuggles, because like she would not sleep in my room. Yeah, she used to not really like sitting in my lap. It wasn't until like, I want to say it was like 2016 maybe, that like when we were at the house in Washington, and if my mom's lap was not available, Sugar would sit in my lap. But like the second my mom would sit back down on the couch, she'd leave me. Occasionally she'd stay with me, but not often. It wasn't until we moved back to like, not where we originally lived in California, but like more northern California. It wasn't until after my mom moved back there and I was starting to come home from college. And I remember it was Sugar's 10th birthday was the first day that she just like sat in my lap the entire day. Even when my mom's lap was available, she just like sat with me the whole day. Then she started like sitting in my lap more, and like we would take couch naps together, because she'd just like sit in my lap and I'd be like, well, I don't want to move, but I don't have anything to do, so I'm just gonna take a nap now, and Sugar's gonna sleep with me. And I remember if I was doing something on my computer, I'd have it like literally on my boobs so that Sugar could be in my lap, because I'd be like, well, yeah, I don't want to inconvenience her. I want her to stay here, but I got work to do. And it was like the most uncomfortable positions ever, but I'm like, it's better than not having Sugar in my lap. And I would get like, cause and in the end, she weighed 10 pounds. Like she was 2 pounds when we got her. She was only supposed to be like 4, but she ended up being 10 pounds. I don't know where the breeders got 4 pounds from, but like she was a healthy weight. Like it's not like she was obese, despite what my mom thought. Like she was a healthy weight for her size. but I would have like this 10-pound fluffy bowling ball on my legs for most of the day, and I would have like bruises, not bruises, but like my legs would be sore. I don't think I ever had actual bruises. It would just feel like it because my legs would be so sore. And sometimes I will just randomly get that feeling like she's been sitting in my lap for hours back in my legs with like no explanation as to what could have caused it. And I'm like, that is her spiritually sitting in my lap. Like she has decided to pay me a visit. But I was like, I don't care. Like, I don't care how much pain I'm in the next day or like after she gets up. Like, I want this. Like, there is no world in which I'm taking me not feeling like that in my legs over having sugar in my lap. We would like, when I would come home originally, like she'd be in the car at the airport waiting for me. My mom would pick me up from the airport and she'd be in the back seat, and I'd like immediately like go sit in the back seat with her for the drive home because I'd be like, that is my baby. I missed her. Like I need to hold her. And she'd let me, like, because she hadn't seen me in a while. And I would just like, when I was approaching the car, I'd always see her like pawing at the window. She'd be like, I see you. And I'd be like, I see you too. And it was just the cutest thing. And then the last story I have to tell is like not really one of my favorite sugar stories, but it's one that I always tell, so I'm just gonna tell it. And it's because I was nervous around her when I first got her. I was never like afraid of her per se. My best friend in 8th grade, who I'm not friends with anymore, not because of this, but she had like a traumatic experience with a dog when she was very young, and so she was afraid of dogs, but she wanted to beat Sugar. Like she was determined that she was going to be different around Sugar. And I was very nervous, and she wanted to hold her, and I was like, no, like for what reason? Like why would I? But my mom was like, no, let her hold her. She's only 2 pounds, she's just a baby. Like and I was like watching her intently. I'm like, that is my baby. If you harm that baby, I will harm you. And Sugar opened her mouth to yawn, and my friend was like, she's gonna bite me, launches her up in the air. I fortunately, like, she was fine. Like she landed on her feet, she was absolutely fine. But I was just like, I was livid. I was like, you are never touching this dog again. Under no circumstances will you ever touch this dog again. Which like I eventually had to relent on, but I was livid in that moment. I was like, that is my child that you just launched onto the ground. Like up in the air and then onto the ground. But yeah, she was fine. I was just, I was like, this is exactly why I did not want her to hold Sugar. But yeah, so those are some of my like most key Sugar memories. I might think of more later. Those are just the ones that like came to mind this morning when I was like, what are some stories I want to tell about Sugar? Not necessarily in any chronological order, as you can tell. But then there was our last day together, and it was like the last few years of her life. Every time I would go back to college or back to Delaware after I graduated college, I would like have this thought that like, what if this is the last time I see her? Because she was getting old. And I remember like, I would always be like very, very aware of her mortality for the first like month after I got home, or back to Delaware, I mean. But then she'd end up being fine, and I'd see her again the next time I went home. And then I remember I felt like summer 2022, when I originally went home, I felt very, very aware of her mortality. And I'd taken to like carrying around, like when I would cut like matted fur off of her, I would like carry it around in my purse. Like I had like a little pocket in the back of my purse where I would have her fur, so that when I was in Delaware, I could just like rub it on my face and be like, that's my baby. I still have it in that bag. I don't know where the bag is. It's like somewhere in my closet, but I still have it in that pocket. I did not get rid of it. Yeah, I remember just being very, very aware that like she was very old, and like her face was very white. She was very old. And then I actually ended up going back for a few days, just for a weekend, for my cousin's wedding at the beginning of September, like right before school started. And I got to see Sugar, obviously, and we just had like the best time together. I have a picture of her like on the bed, happy to see me. And one of my coworkers actually turned that into a keychain for me, that picture, which I still have. It fell off the keychain, so it's just in my purse by itself. One of my coworkers made that for me because she had to deal with me the day after Sugar passed away, and she like saw how distraught that I was, and she got that for me. And it was like still one of the nicest things anybody's ever done for me. I'm getting so ahead of myself. So so yeah, that Labor Day weekend 2022, I am living my best life with Sugar. And I remember it was the day that I was going back to the airport, and she was just sitting in my lap the whole day, or not like in my lap, but like next to my lap, just like against my leg, and I was petting her, and I just felt very prompted to tell her the story of, cause okay, I would tell her the story all the time of how we met, and like when like I knew she was like my baby, I knew she was my soul dog, and like God made my lap the perfect size for her, and like and he made her head the perfect size for me to give her kisses, and it was like I would tell her that story all the time, but I felt very prompted to tell her that story then. And I told her like about, do you remember when we first met, when you just sat in my lap and started giving me kisses, and I knew that you were gonna be my baby forever, and I just fell in love with you immediately, and I just like, you are my baby, like, and I love you more than anything, and you will always be my baby no matter how old you get. And I told her that story, and we had to go back to the airport, and my cousin got married in like a coastal town, and there were extremely windy roads to get in and out of that town. Like, I do not get car sick. I'm not the kind of person who gets car sick, but like the closest I've ever been was on those roads. And so I was like, because I sat in the back seat on the way to the place where my cousin was getting married because I wanted to be with Sugar. But on the way back, I was like, I love you, baby girl, but like, no, we're not doing that again. And so, but I think I did bring her up to the front seat with me for a little bit. And I definitely, like, I gave her a kiss before I left, because I always give her a kiss before I left the airport, before I left the parking lot of the airport, and I would wait for her to give me a kiss on my cheek. And she didn't that time, but I was like, well, okay, well, you owe me one when I come back for Christmas. And I just remember walking to the airport, and I'm just like, I miss Sugar so much. Like, already I miss her. But it was so weird that like after I got back to Delaware, I wasn't aware of Sugar's mortality the way I usually was. I was just like, yeah, I just saw her, she's fine, like I'm gonna see her again at Christmas. And so that was that. And my mom would like send me live photos of her every single day, and we'd FaceTime sometimes. I would literally FaceTime my mom just to see the dog. And like if my friends were over, I'd be like, you wanna see my dog? Let me call my mom real quick. And I remember the night, it was a Sunday night. My mom FaceTimed me, and Sugar was there, and I had just bought my plane ticket home for Christmas, and it was like literally an entire paycheck. It's usually not that expensive, but because it was so close to Christmas, because that's like the soonest I could get off work, before the natural holiday break started, it was like $1,200. It was the same amount that Sugar cost to go home and see her. And so I was joking with her. I was like, okay, Sugar, listen, like you're gonna owe me $1,200 worth of kisses and lap time and love pets, and you owe me, baby girl. Like this is not, like I spent all this money to see you. You're spending time with me. And this little punk ass bitch, just, the next morning, and I remember so much about this day so clearly. I remember it was 10 days from my flight. My flight was on the 22nd, it was the 12th. I went into work like normal. I remember we were reading the Joy Luck Club with my sophomores, or like an excerpt from it, and I knew my mom, when I had read it in high school, my mom had told me she processed Amy Tan's degree or something at San Jose State. And so I was like, okay, well, I want to tell my students this lore, but I want to get it right. So I texted my mom, and it's like 5 in the morning her time, and I'm like, what degree did you process for Amy Tan? And I don't even remember what her response was, but she told me, and I was like, okay, cool, thanks, Mom. And then I told the kids, and that was that. And then I remember there was a meeting after school, and it was optional, but there were like hours for mentoring that me and my work best friend both needed. And so she was gonna go to that meeting, but I was like, I have therapy, so I can't go. Too bad. And then my therapist texted me, I think it was around lunchtime, and she was like, hey, like, can we reschedule till next week? Something came up, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. That's fine. And then, so I told my friend that, she was like, well, now you can come to the meeting. I was like, no, you see, I already had it in my head that I'm going home at 2:45 or 2:50, whatever time we got out. I'm like, I already have it in my head that I get to go home at 2:50. So I will not be staying for this meeting. Have fun. And so I leave at 2:50 like planned, and I remember there was a gas station in between work and my house, because this was when I was commuting like an hour between work and where I lived, and there was a gas station kind of in the middle, and occasionally it had like really, really good prices compared to all the other gas stations. And this was one of those days, and I pulled in and it was under $3 for the first time in as long as I could remember. And I was like, this is the best day ever. Filled up my car, drove all the rest of the way home. I had leftover Indian food in the fridge that I was looking forward to, and I was starving the whole drive home. I'm like, I need to get in my house and heat up this food. And I remember I parked my car in the parking lot of my apartment, and then Cal had texted me something. It was like a picture of their cat, and they were like, oh, like, he only sits with me when I let him. And I remember texting back, me with sugar, LOL. I get through the door of my apartment. The door is not yet closed behind me when my phone starts ringing in my hand, and it's my mom. And I'm like, why is my mom calling me? So I just answer. I'm like, hi mom, like, just not aware of what the fact that my life is about to be absolutely destroyed. But then like immediately in her voice, I can hear it because she says, I need to tell you something. And I'm not going to try to like remake the tone that she said it, because like that was literally like one of the top 10 most traumatic moments of my life. I do not want to like put myself back in that moment. But I remember it so vividly. And like, as soon as she said that, I was like, what happened to Sugar? Like, I knew it was nothing else. It was no other family members, nothing, like the house didn't burn down. Like it was Sugar. There was nothing else it could possibly be. And, it was natural causes. Like, homegirl was getting old. She was about to turn 14 at the end of December. And she just like, it was very sudden. And she had like just gone to the vet earlier that week, and they're like, oh yeah, she's super healthy. But my mom had mentioned like she was being kind of lazy. And I remembered, it was the day before actually, I was taking my garbage out and I saw somebody walking their dog, and I was thinking, oh, when I go home for Christmas, I should get Sugar's paw print so I can get a tattoo of it. And I should make one of those like lick paintings with where you put peanut butter in a baggie and put some paint, or you put peanut butter on the outside of a baggie that you have some paint in, have her make a lick painting. You know, like I want to do all these things with Sugar when I come home for Christmas, just in case it's the last time I see her. Because I was like very aware that like that was probably gonna be the last time I saw her. But then like my mom had said the previous day when she FaceTimed me, she's like, oh yeah, Sugar has so much energy today. Like she's like, I was worried about her, but she's doing so much better today. Like she is full of energy. And like everybody who's like listening to this who has been through losing a pet before is like, oh, like that is quite literally what you do not want to happen. But I didn't know that at the time. My mom didn't know that at the time. But it was just very sudden, and it was literally, I was telling my coworkers that morning, I was like, 10 days till I see my dog, 10 days, tomorrow's single digits, it's so close. And it was just like, it was a part of me just was gone with her. And for the longest time, I did not think I was ever going to feel okay again. Like I just thought I was just going to be sad for the rest of my life. I just couldn't understand why. Like I knew eventually she was going to pass away. Like she was not going to live forever, but like I told her she wasn't allowed to die, first of all. But I'm just like, why now? Like why before I could say goodbye to her? Like why before I could be with her? Like my mom was with her, she was not alone when it happened, but I was just like, I wanted to be with her. Like I wanted to tell her that I loved her one last time and tell her about the first time I saw her and like all those things. And like it was just, I couldn't believe it. And it was just so, it was so devastating. Like one of the most traumatic things that has ever happened to me. And I say that as somebody who has only ever lost grandparents. And I know that the most traumatic losses of my life are yet to come, but for now, that was it. Like it felt like losing my grandmother, and it was like all these connections. It was like Sugar met my grandmother, who then passed away, and now Sugar's gone. And so, and that started like a long list of like the last time such and such, which I'll get into in a minute. But it was, I remember I ended up going, there was another meeting I'd scheduled to go to that, like the day, no, 2 days after that, or 3 days after that. It was Thursday, I think. To get those hours for measuring that I wasn't gonna get from the meeting on Monday. And I remember just that whole morning, that's the first morning that I vividly remember. I remember telling my students, because they always ask for pictures of her, and I remember telling them like, hey, like Sugar passed away, like I'm not doing well, like please be patient with me. And my co-teacher's like helping me. But the first like day that I vividly remember was that Thursday, because we had a staff meeting in the morning, and I was late because I was like, I have had a horrible week so far. I'm gonna treat myself to some hot chocolate from Starbucks. I like the taste of coffee, not a big coffee drinker just because my body doesn't really agree with it. So I prefer hot chocolate. And I go through the drive-thru and I realize I am not going to make it to work on time. But there's cars behind me, so I can't back out of the drive-thru. So I'm just gonna have to sit through this and get my stuff, and like I can't just take the L and drive away. So I get my hot chocolate, I take one sip, it is somebody else's coffee, but I do not have time to go back. So I just go to work and I drink the coffee, and it does not agree with me the way I thought it wasn't going to. And so that was just some added fun to that day. And I remember, so I went to the meeting after work, and it was pouring rain, and I got lost in the parking lot because it was at another building, and I just like couldn't, like, it was just terrible. And I was like, I like felt sick. Like, I mean, the coffee was like done doing its thing to me, but like I still felt sick, and I was just like, I'm like shaking. And there was one other person from my work there, like from my building, and he was so sweet. He was super, super nice. He probably thinks that I'm the biggest asshole because I was so manic that day. I was not in my body at all. And I remember the meeting, we were doing like a practice lesson. We had to write a practice lesson, and the article they gave us to write the practice lesson on was about 9/11. And I have some weird special interests, okay? You know, I had a Titanic phase, I had a Gold Rush phase, the classic phases, but there was also the 9/11 phase. And there's just still, like, not as much as it used to, but it's still something that like I'm fascinated by, like the details of. Like, I watch documentaries about it every year. I just, you know, I like learning more stuff about it. Like, I'm trying to make this sound like as not like inconsiderate as possible, because I was alive for 9/11. I was only 5 years old and I was living in California. So I like, really how it affected me was SpongeBob wasn't on that night. But you know, like, I was fascinated learning about it. And so for me to be given this chance to write a lesson about my special interest, and I just could not do it. I was gone mentally. I was not in my body. I was like about to start crying like the entire time. Like, it was so weird. It was like, it felt like I needed to cry, but I could not cry. I had already cried so much over the past few days. It was like there was nothing left in me. And so I just like, I was like so like deadpan talking to the guy, because we were like supposed to be working on it together. I was just like, yeah, okay. You don't remember it because you were born in 2000. Okay. And like just totally being a jerk to him unintentionally, but I was just like, my life is not good right now. And I remember driving home and I accidentally went through the wrong toll booth or something, and it was so late when I got home, and I just called my mom, and I was just like, I cannot like do this. This is a terrible day. And then the next day Cal came over, and we got a bottle of wine, and I drank most of it. I think they weren't drinking that night because they were gonna drive home. They weren't sleeping over. We got me a little bottle of wine. It was a small bottle, okay? It wasn't like a whole thing. And I just drank the whole thing. We ordered some Indian food takeout, and I just like, I was better after that. Like, I just felt so much better after that. Like, that was the first time I actually felt like a person again, was after I got sober the next morning. And so the other ways in which I coped with it, because that was like the only time I let myself drink about it, but the other ways I coped with it was before she was cremated, my mom got her paw print from the vet, and I got it tattooed. That was like the first, can you even see it? That was the first thing I did when I got home for the holidays. We went straight to the tattoo parlor, because the airport was in Medford. I forget if the tattoo parlor was in Medford or Grants Pass on the way back to California, but we stopped there, got the tattoo, then we picked up Sugar's ashes from the vet, her little urn, canister, sugar urn. But yeah, and I cope with things by being silly. And I remember like a picture came up on my time hop of like me coming home from the airport from Delaware, like that exact day a year ago, holding Sugar, being like, I finally get to kiss her little head. It's been so long. And so I stitched it with a picture of me holding the urn, and I was like, one year ago versus now. well, and so, and like I did like my last selfie of 2021 was me holding Sugar. So then I did like my last selfie of 2022 was me holding the urn. And I was like, what a difference a year makes. But But yeah, getting the tattoo, having her literal paw print on me was very helpful. When I got back to work in January, my coworker gave me that keychain that she made of Sugar, and I kept that on my lanyard until it broke off like 2 years later. What else? My mom gave me her blanket, not her baby blanket, but like the one that she was using most frequently before she passed away. And I still have it. Like I literally still sleep with it every single night. That I don't take it with me when I sleep at other people's houses, but like when I'm in my bed, I have Sugar's blanket, and I sleep with it like a teddy bear, not like a blanket. If I'm sick, if it's particularly hot and I know I'm gonna be very sweaty, I will move it off to the side of my room. Like I will not, I don't put it on the floor, but like I'll put it on top of my sweatshirt pile that I have next to my closet dresser, because like I want to wash that thing as little as possible. And for a long time it did still smell like her. Like it was like months before it stopped smelling like her. Sometimes I think if I like press my face really, really close to it, I could still smell her. And like I would find her fur, like pieces of her fur in it for a while. When I went back to my mom's house for Christmas, like we were literally like still like pulling pieces of her fur out of our mouths while we were eating that were like floating in the air. And I'd be like, she's not even here. Like how is this happening still? And like that eventually stopped. You know, that eventually stopped. And then I remember I found like a piece of her fur in my copy of The Great Gatsby when I was like preparing to teach it to my students, and I like almost had a whole breakdown in front of my co-teacher. But yeah, it was like that's one of the ways that I still feel close to her, is that blanket. And I will give it kisses every night. I give it 5 kisses because I always give her 5 kisses. And I tell her that she's my favorite, that she's the best dog in the whole world, and I'm always gonna love her. She's always gonna be my baby girl. She's always gonna be my most special baby. And I still do that every single night because she's still my baby, and that was my soul dog. Like I don't know when or if I'll ever stop doing that. So after she passed away, there were 2 types of dreams that I would have about her. One would be like I forgot to feed her for 4 days. Like she was with me in Delaware for some reason, and I just straight up forgot to feed her, take her out, give her water, anything. But she was like still alive, just like suffering, and hated those. And the other kind of dream I would have about her would be like she would be there, but I'd be like self-aware in the dream that like she was dead. She has been resurrected for a limited time. We don't know for how long, but she is going to die again. And we don't have her for very long. We just don't know how long. And it would be like, I would always be like so like self-aware that she was like not fully alive in the dream. And the first time I ever had a dream about her, in which I was not self-aware that she was dead, or I didn't forget to feed her for 4 hours. I actually had a dream about her like 2 nights ago that we were just going for a walk. Like literally she was on her leash. We were going for a walk together. That was the very first time that I ever had a dream about her that I was not either neglecting her or self-aware that she was dead. And so like that, I'm like looking forward to maybe she'll visit me in my dreams more often in a more wholesome way now. But the hardest things I've had to go through regarding her since I got through that first, like, not like just the first couple of weeks, even the first month, after I got through that, the hardest things have been just like realizing when it's going to be the last time. Like the last time I found her fluff in her blanket. You never know when it's going to be the last piece you find. The last time her blanket smelled like her. The last time I, when my car got totaled, that was my first thought, was that Sugar had been in that car. And I remember like my dad had recently gotten a new car, so like he didn't have his car that Sugar had been in. My mom still has hers that Sugar was in, quite literally died in, kind of, not like in the car, but like was dying in on the way to the emergency vet. My mom still has that car for now. But my Civic, that was like, you know, Sugar had been in that car. Like I had memories of her like licking the window on road trips, or like pawing at it when she would see me at the airport. We would sit in the back seat together all the time. She would sit in my lap sometimes in the front seat, not often because that's not very safe, but and then I remember when I was like when I first got to Delaware and my mom gave me the car so that she could get a new one. I was going through stuff in the back seat, and there was like a whole patch of her fur, just like strands of her fluff in the back seat. And so whenever the car wash would be like, do you want us to vacuum out the inside? I'd be like, no, do not touch the inside of my car. Like I never let them vacuum the inside of my car, because I was like, Sugar's fur is still in here somewhere and I do not want to lose it. Especially after she passed away, I was like, do not ever vacuum the inside of this car. So that was literally, And I remember thinking like eventually I was going to need a new car, but like it was a Honda Civic. It was gonna last, like it was only 9 years old when it got totaled. Like it was going to last so much longer. Like the Accord my mom traded in for, it was a 1998, traded in for the 2016. That was like, what, 18 years? Like the car was going to last. But I was like, eventually I'm going to have to deal with having a car that Sugar was never in. And then to just suddenly be confronted with that. And like, that was the hardest part about losing my car. Like the financial strain, the knowing I wasn't gonna get anywhere near as good of a car for the total loss settlement as a 2016 Civic. I have a 2012 CRV now, which I love, but like it's not my Civic. It didn't have brand new CarPlay in it like my Civic did. Didn't just get brand new tires for it like I did with my Civic. Didn't just renew the registration for 2 years like I did with the Civic. But most importantly, Sugar had not been in the car, and like that was the hardest thing for me to cope with. Like, yeah, it was my first car. Yeah, I drove to my first date with a woman in that car, my first kiss with a different woman, my first job out of college. I drove across the country with my mom in that car. Like like that car was a big part of my life. But the thing that was the hardest to deal with about losing that car was that Sugar was in that car. And now I don't have a car that Sugar was ever in. And that's just, you know, we still hate State Farm. We have not forgiven State Farm, but they still haven't given me my deductible back yet, so we cannot tell the story of why we hate State Farm fully until that happens. But yeah, and then I remember I was writing the acknowledgements for Lost and Found, and I did this in the acknowledgements for Saving Summer as well, but I put a little note to Sugar in there, and I said, like, to my sweet Sugar baby. And my friends have told me that I need to put some kind of indicator that I'm talking about a dog. I tried to put a paw print emoji in Saving Summer, but then like it kept rejecting, either Amazon or Ingram Spark, one of the two kept rejecting my files because the emoji was like not a valid font. So I was like, you know what, we're just people are gonna think what they think. So I would say, like, you know, to my sweet Sugar baby, thank you for sitting in my lap while I wrote some of my favorite parts of this book. Because like I had written a big portion of Saving Summer when Sugar was sitting in my lap at my mom's house. I don't know what's going on outside right now. That's fun. And I actually, the very day that she passed away, I remember I had it in my head, like the whole way home, I was like, I'm going to heat up my leftover Indian food and eat that. And then I'm going to go through my line edits of Saving Summer, and did not touch those for like 2 weeks because I just could not. I think I told that story when I eventually like made my update video when Saving Summer was like actually going to come out. But yeah. And so I put that acknowledgement in there for her. And when I was doing it for Lost and Found, I realized like I have a hefty backlog of projects that are either waiting to be written, or waiting to be finished written, or waiting to be edited because I don't have money and also need to get through the University Story trilogy first. But eventually I'm going to write something that no part of was ever even imagined while Sugar was still alive. And you know, that's not gonna be for a long time because my next two projects after University Story are things that have been like being worked and reworked in my mind for decades. And so like we got time till we get there, but it hit me that like, yeah, one day there's going to be a book that I put out that Sugar was not around for any part of. And that, you know, that was like, okay, we're not there yet though, so we still got time. But yeah, when you see my acknowledgements to Sugar in the backs of my books, just know like, these are things that have been in the works for years. So like, even though she has been gone for 3 years now, it'll be 4 years in December, but it's only March right now, so closer to 3 years. You know, like she's still a part of these stories because she was still with me for most of the time I was writing them, or at least the original drafts of them, or even the outlines. That is my little tribute video to Sugar, my baby girl. I still miss her every single day. There will not be a day that I do not miss her. She was my soul dog. And I do eventually someday want to get another dog. I've come to the conclusion Sugar's going to send me her successor when she is good and ready. I'm like, I have this vision of like going to the shelter and finding a dog that like, first of all, just like comes up to me and like the way that Sugar chose me, like I want the dog to like choose me. And then like I find out the dog was born on December 12th, 2022. or even like the 13th. Hey, shared birthday with Taylor. But like if like, cause then it would be like, I don't know, like it sounds so dumb when I say it out loud, but it's like Sugar put her soul into another dog to come find me in another lifetime. And like, that's my fantasy. I did try to get another dog a couple years ago. But it just, I'm not going to tell the whole story of that, but basically I hit a crazy wave of manic depression and just was in no place to take care of a dog. So that ended up not working out, and I just haven't tried again since. My financial situation has also not been ideal for bringing on another family member. Even though like I do have most of the dog supplies because of that, because I was nesting for so long. But I was just like, yeah, no, now is not the time. Sugar will send me her successor when she is good and ready. And yeah, so I'm waiting on my financial situation to be a little bit better for me to figure out if I'm actually staying in Delaware or moving back to Oregon, like I keep saying I'm gonna do, which I don't know. I'm probably gonna be here another year, at least. Just, I'll get into that separately. That's not to do with Sugar. But then like once that's all settled, then it'll be time to like go start looking in shelters for my next soulmate, to find me. And I do believe that Sugar will find me in another lifetime. I do believe that Sugar will find me in every lifetime, that she will keep sending me her soul in either other dogs or maybe other people, or just, you know, when I randomly feel like she's been sitting on my legs, and there's nothing in the world that would have made them feel like that, except for her. So I just know like she was sitting in my lap spiritually. But yeah, I will find her in every lifetime. She will find me. She will always be my baby girl, and I miss her. And Sugar, wherever you are, happy 17th anniversary. You gave me the best 13 years of my life, almost 14. And I will find you in every lifetime, and I love you. And thank you for watching.